The majority of my favorite games on Switch are indie games, and I know of 8 fantastic indies that you have likely never played. Hello everyone, my name is Adam, and welcome to Time Lag Gaming. Many of the games in this list are actually some of my all-time favorite Switch games, and each one is completely different than the next, so make sure to stick around for the entire video. The first game on this list is called Moonlighter. In Moonlighter, you play as a boy named Will who lives in a town called Rinoka and owns a shop named Moonlighter. During the night, you fight through dungeons, collecting loot and fighting enemies, and during the day, you are a shopkeeper selling your loot and running your shop. You can upgrade all of your gear, your shop, and grow your town. There is even puzzle elements to your inventory management in dungeons. This game is in no way a Zelda clone, but it does give off vibes from a top-down Zelda game. There are even several references to the Legend of Zelda series in this game. The combat in this game does take a little getting used to, but after you get the hang of it, the combat is a lot of fun. There are 5 different weapon types. Each is unique and good at different tasks. There are also many types of armor. Weapons and armor can be unlocked and upgraded through crafting. You can also get potions and enchantments. The objective of the game is to find out what's behind the 5th dungeon door. To get there, you have to traverse 4 different dungeons, each one having 3 floors and a boss at the end. When you die in a dungeon, you get kicked out of the dungeon and lose everything in your bag. However, you keep the main items in your top bar. However, if you are close to dying, you can use your amulet to teleport you out of the dungeon back to town with all of your loot. The shopkeeper aspect of the game is extremely fun as well. It is actually very engaging and addicting with a surprising amount of depth. You have to learn what all the different items are worth, and you have to watch your customers' reactions about the prices. At the same time, you have to also watch out for thieves. There is so much to love about this game, from upgrading your weapons, the town, your shop, to the beautiful soundtrack and the atmosphere of the game. Exploring the dungeons is very challenging but rewarding. The shopkeeping mechanics are super addicting, and the entire game is just so original and unique. Moonlighter is a must-buy. The next game is very different, and that is Runner 3. Runner 3 is a rhythm platforming game. It originated as a WiiWare title back on the Wii Shop channel as Bit Trip Runner. This game is the 3rd entry in the Runner series, and it maintains the basic elements of the first 2 games while expanding and innovating on everything else. There are 3 main locations, each with tons of levels, a boss fight, and skins and costumes to unlock. Each zone also has minigame levels. There is basically an entire separate game within this game. Each level has amazing music that you develop and add to as you collect the gold bricks and the gems. Collecting these adds notes and layers to the song. The gameplay is so satisfying. It's also extremely difficult. However, you can now customize every aspect of the game in order to adjust the difficulty to suit you. Each level is filled to the brim with charm. The visuals are over the top. There is always something happening in the background, which can be distracting, except every now and then, the stuff that's happening in the environment around you interacts with the path in front of you. This gameplay element really keeps you on edge and helps you appreciate the beautiful landscapes that have all sorts of little details. These environmental interactions are also in sync with the music, so the entire thing really feels connected and gives you a rush of joy every level. Every level has collectibles, some of which help you progress through the story. Other collectibles help you unlock the minigame levels, as well as help you unlock more characters. The characters are very diverse and humorous. Each one is completely unique and have their own set of different skins and costumes that you can unlock. One of the guest characters is Charles Martinet, the voice behind Mario himself, and the voice behind the narrator throughout this game and from the previous game. Overall, Runner 3 has a ton of content and offers some of the most satisfying gameplay ever. Next up, we have Tumble Seed. In Tumble Seed, you play as a seed as you try to make your way up a deadly mountain, as you collect a plethora of different seed abilities. There are 4 main sections to the mountain. Each section has its own theme and enemies. And after each area, you visit a town with a shop, minigames, and more. What's so unique about this game is the control method. The controls are indirect, so the seed you control moves based on how you move the vine rod on the bottom of the screen. You start off every game with 4 seeds. The crystal seed gives you crystals, which is your in-game currency whenever you plant yourself in a plot of soil as the crystal 3 times. Every other seed requires a set amount of crystals in order to use that seed. The heart seed gives you an extra heart piece whenever you plant your seed in 4 plots of soil. The thorn vine seed gives you protective thorns that rotate around your seed to protect it. And then the flag seed is basically your checkpoint. Whenever you plant it, a flag appears. Then, when you fall into a hole, instead of falling all the way down the mountain, you fall back to where you planted your flag. There are dozens upon dozens of other unique seeds that you get while progressing through the game. Some of these are defensive seeds, and others are offensive seeds in order to help kill enemies. The game has a light story with lore, and there are many secrets, large and small, to find. Tumble Seed has many different modes. There is a training mode to help you practice on each area of the mountain. This mode also includes missions to help you unlock auras for the main adventure mode. There is also a daily challenge, a weekly challenge, adventure mode, and a 2-player multiplayer battle mode. Attached to each one of these modes are online leaderboards, which is a nice touch. Overall, this game is such a joy to play. It has amazing music, great sound effects, immersive HD rumble, addicting gameplay, and I highly recommend it. The next game on the list is Enter the Gungeon. Now you have probably heard of this game, but I know a ton of people have not played it. The reason being, this game is a roguelike, and some people are just completely against roguelike games. However, if there is any roguelike game you are ever going to play, this should be it. This is the best of the best, and even if you hate roguelikes, I think you will still fall in love with this game. The main mission of the game is to get through all the chambers and kill your past. There are 5 main floors and many side dungeons. Each one has its own design to it, and they all look amazing with tiny details that make the game feel more alive. After each chamber, there is a boss, and some chambers have mini bosses too. There are over 200 guns to unlock and over 200 gun-related items. The entire game is gun-themed. You will notice Easter eggs to other games and references to guns all throughout the game. Each gun is unique with its own characterizing elements. There are also many characters you can play as that also have their own unique elements. All of the enemies and bosses you fight against are also inspired by guns. The game even offers a local co-op mode. This is probably the best co-op mode ever in a game. The room layouts in the chambers are randomly generated, and every time you die, you have to start over, but the game is fair about it, and this feedback loop is extremely satisfying. There are a ton of secrets in this game, and it offers hours upon hours of gameplay. I am 85 hours in, and I've only really scratched the surface. I have heard of others who have put hundreds and hundreds of hours into this game. This game is a masterpiece, and even if you don't like roguelike games, get this one. Now we come to Horizon Chase Turbo. Horizon Chase Turbo is a one-of-a-kind racing game inspired by the 16-bit racers of the 80s and 90s, including Top Gear, Outrun, and many more. This racing game has a ton of content with 12 cups and 109 tracks that take place in over 48 cities. There are also 31 unlockable cars with 12 upgrades that can be earned. Each race ranges from 3 to 5 laps, and there are 20 cars on the track. You start at 20th place and try to make your way up to 1st place. And as the name suggests, you are chasing the horizon the entire time. It's a really cool effect. You can get a starting boost by quickly pressing your gas, and you start off with 3 nitro boosts at the beginning of each race. There are obstacles on the edge of the road that you have to avoid when taking turns and weaving in and out of cars. Every single track is unique, and the artwork of each track is based on real-world locations. There are even night and day cycles and weather events for different tracks. The graphics for the game truly are stunning. Controls are everything in a racing game. They can make or break the game, and the controls in this game are perfect. The precise controls make it satisfying to weave in and out of cars. During a turn, you can let off the steering for a split second to help position yourself in a spot where you can slip between 2 cars or even skim right past a car and bump it into an obstacle to make it crash. There are collectibles in every race, HD rumble, an amazing soundtrack, and 4 different modes, each with their own playstyle. The game offers a ton of single-player content, but it also has 4-player local multiplayer. Horizon Chase Turbo is one of the best racing games on Switch, and it's definitely worth your money. Next up, we have an FPS exploration game called Morphite. In Morphite, you play as Mira, a girl who has lost her parents and was raised by a man named Mr. Mason. One of her only memories about her parents is that they talked about an extremely rare substance called Morphite. You go into the game not really knowing what Morphite is, but you explore and learn more as you progress through the game. The story offers a satisfying amount of depth, and there's also a plot twist partway through. The game is also open world. You can go about the story at your own pace, and you can choose to just ignore the main missions and do your own thing if you want. There are side missions and areas to explore, and this way is sort of like Breath of the Wild. A lot of people have said this game is a mix between Metroid Prime and No Man's Sky, and I definitely see what they mean. The gameplay loop is quite satisfying. The story has you exploring plant life, planets, and space stations. You travel to planets on your ship's dashboard. Your ship has different stats that can be upgraded. You can upgrade the gas tank capacity, your shields, guns, etc. You can also upgrade your own suit as well as your guns and items. On the planets, you can scan plant life, which later you can sell your scans for money. You also collect materials and other items. After you arrive at the solar system, you can choose which planets or space stations to go to. At space stations, you can refuel and sell and buy materials. You can also find side missions, minigames, and more. The controls feel perfect, and just like in Splatoon, there are gyro controls to help you with aiming. You can switch weapons and items on the fly, and it all feels satisfying. You can even unlock more ways to move around and maneuver later on. Overall, Morphight is a super fun, engaging game with so much to discover. It has very relaxing exploration elements, but also has combat that keeps you on edge. Second to last, we have Graceful Explosion Machine. Graceful Explosion Machine is a side-scrolling arcade shooter. There are 4 unique worlds with over 30 levels. I usually don't like these style arcade shooters that much, but this game does it in such a clean way. You have 4 different types of weapons. Each one is completely unique and is mapped to one of the 4 face buttons. You have a standard blaster, your melee attack, then you have a beam attack, and heat-seeking missiles. All 4 weapons have cooldowns, with your stronger weapons needing to cool down with more use. This encourages use of all 4 weapon types. Every level has multiple waves of enemies. You can take 2 hits before dying, and you have 2 lives before you have to start all the way over at the first wave. The start and end of each map are looped together so you never run out of space on each map. However, there are also hazards like lasers and changing environments. The gameplay also features combos. This makes it really satisfying and intense to try to keep killing the creatures non-stop in order to maintain your combo. One really nice gameplay feature is you have a boost that will let you blast past enemies without damage. The boost can be used twice in a row and then has a short cooldown. The game has a fantastic difficulty curve and gives you a letter grade after each level completion. For even more difficulty, there is a challenge mode. While the art style may be simple, it is clean and I really like it. Integrated into the gameplay is also HD Rumble that makes the entire experience so much better. Overall, Graceful Explosion Machine is an extremely satisfying game to pick up and play in short bursts. And lastly, we come to Ittle Dew 2 Plus. Ittle Dew 2 is a Zelda-like game. It is somewhat a Zelda clone, but it really stands out on its own. You play as an adventurer named Ittle with your flying fox friend, Tipsy. You become stranded on an island where adventure is prohibited. The objective is to fight through dungeons and solve puzzles in order to find pieces to your wooden raft so you can escape the island. Honestly, I did not like the game at first. It just took me a while to get into it, but after an hour or 2, you get hooked. But do not let the cute and charming graphics fool you. This game is excruciatingly hard. What's nice is the game is open world, so you can tackle any of the dungeons at any time. But because of this, it's easy to end up in an area with super strong enemies that you are not ready for yet. This game also has some of the hardest boss fights ever. I'm talking harder than Dark Souls. You even have a dodge roll like in Dark Souls. But to me, this is all part of the fun, and when you finally get past those bosses, it's such a great feeling. The dungeons are really fun to play through. You have many different weapons you can also upgrade. This game has a lot of collectibles to find and has an extra dream world with extra challenging dungeons. Some of the puzzles within these dungeons are super challenging as you are restricted by which items and weapons you can use. Ittle Dew 2 has a lot of content and tons of little secrets to find. This game took me 30 hours to complete, and I definitely recommend it to any Zelda fans out there. So there you have it. Those are 8 of the very best Nintendo Switch indie games that you have probably never played. They are games that are not very well known, or that some people just don't think they will enjoy. However, I think every type of gamer will enjoy these amazing games. Just as a side note, Moonlighter, Runner 3, and Ittle Dew 2 actually have physical releases, and they are still fairly easy to find. Ittle Dew 2 and Runner 3 also have manuals and other stuff inside, and Moonlighter has a manual as well. Moonlighter and Runner 3 are actually on sale for a really good deal right now. I will have Amazon links down below. And by the way, Special Reserve Games will be publishing a physical copy of Enter the Gungeon early this year. So what do you think of these 8 games? Have you played any of them? Do any of these games look appealing to you? Let me know your take in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching.